Greetings and salutations. I'm Gil.
And I'm Gil, and this is Strategic Prepper.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here we are again. This is another in our philosophy series on prepping. And today we want to talk about morality issues, and we want to go over some philosophical basic viewpoints. There's just a lot of viewpoints out there, and some of these are really kind of disconcerting. And you know, people that are not preppers some of them look at preppers as kind of nutty. And if you look on these forums and you read these comments, some people are nutty, no doubt about it. Let me give you an example. People talk about food and running out of food. They talk about eating people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been seeing that a lot.
Cannibals.
Yeah.
Cannibals.
I've been seeing that a lot. I've been seeing a lot on these groups.
I know.
On these forums that people are talking about cannibalism.
I don't know if they're serious or not, but they don't get rebuked. Rarely do they get rebuked. Sometimes they do, but it seems like people are okay with that. Are they joking or whatnot? Well, I'm not joking. That's sick. That's inhumane. I'm not going to lose my humanity. I will starve first. I heard somebody think this. You don't know what you're going to do until you get there.
Yeah, I do know.
I do know. I have been in some rough situations. I have made decisions before.
Yeah.
In some tough situations. I do know what I will and will not do in this particular scenario. I will not become a cannibal. I will starve to death first. Actually, I would trust the Lord to give me something.
Well, and part of what helps you make those decisions is thinking about and putting those guidelines in place before. A lot of people don't do that, and then they're faced with the decision and trying to wrestle with the moral implications in the moment. Now, you do that beforehand, and you have to set a guideline. This is who we are. These are our values. This is the kind of organization we are, or whatever.
Right, and these are the boundaries we will not cross. You set those in advance, like you're saying.
This is who we are. We don't do this.
We are. And when you get there, you know already the boundaries here, and you don't cross it.
Yeah.
One of those boundaries, and this is like a brick wall. I'm not turning to cannibalism.
No, and we're not turning to it. We're not doing it. We're not teaming up with people that do it. In fact, if there's a group, if we have a group, let me put it this way: if you want to get hunted down by prepared communities, becoming a cannibal communities is a good way to marauders and cannibals. Because think about it too.
Marauders too.
Well, yeah, because
so basically, if you're a cannibal,
you're the enemy.
You're my enemy.
Yeah, no,
you are my personal enemy if you're a cannibal.
Yeah, and
or a marauder.
Yeah, no, eating humans, like you said, I'm not going to lose my humanity to preserve my own life.
A marauder is only a step better. You're preying on humanity in their weakest time.
And we're going to take steps to prepare ourselves to make sure we're not in those situations. Because people say, oh, I'm going to do whatever it takes to survive. I guess I'll survive and you won't. All right, listen. All right, again, I say this a lot. Let's look at the total view of human history. You don't need to be cannibal to survive. And you know what? By and large, the cannibal societies don't survive. Okay?
For the most part.
They don't survive. There's a reason for that. There's a lot of reasons. But, yeah, we won't allow it. We'll deal with cannibals very harshly, right? So you're part of our group and we find out you're eating people. That's it. You know, that's it. So,
and like I said, I put marauders in the same group. They're like junior league because they're preying on people.
Yeah.
They're just thugs.
Mm-hmm.
They're no good. You're my enemy. I will not team up with you. If that's your philosophy, we'll just go take someone else's stuff. You're not on my team.
Well, first of all, that's just a dumb. It's not a well thought out attitude.
But I hear this all the time.
You do, and it's not well thought out. You know, because you and your group, you are preparing to use violence against other people to get things. Okay, let's take a moment and think about this. Most of these preparedness groups are also prepared to deal with this. That we have our own groups of guys that are armed and trained. So you're trying to engage in basically a firefight. And of course, they're going to try to do it with the least amount of, combat and all that. But every time you do this, you run the risk of your own people getting wounded or killed, and your force gets whittled down over time, and you're going to try to recruit people, that's fine. but you've got to be successful every single time, okay? And word spreads.
Yes, and you not only have to be successful every time. Once you gain a reputation,
Yeah,
you got to watch your own back, because
people hear
the
about
hunter will become the hunter.
Yeah, people hear about it, and then you have these prepared groups. Okay, we're going to start looking for you, and then we find you. Then you're going to get ambushed, and people will get their own posses together. I think about like the Old West to hunt these people down and get rid of them. Not only that, again, let's take a look at history. A lot of these marauding groups, these warrior cultures, whatever you want to look at, whether it's Vikings or Indians or whatever, they eventually turned into agrarian societies. That, for the most part, that was their goal. That's how you maintain your society and community. You have to become that at some point. So yeah, not only is it not a smart idea, you are the enemy, and you know, if there's an opportunity to get rid of them, like I said, that's something that's going to happen to them. Whether it's
right,
I'm not saying just any of these groups. It's going to be in everyone's best interest to get rid of those people. So yeah, I'm not teaming up with that. We're not going to become that. You know, if I'm run out of food and I got guns and ammo, and you know, someone up the road has a farm and are unable to defend myself, I'm not going to just, you know, kill them and take their food. That's not going to happen. I'm not doing it. We'll figure out something else.
You know what else is going to happen? Because in my property that I'm moving to, I'm right across the street from a farm. I'm not going to sit and hide in my little bunker while some yahoo comes up and attacks the farmer.
You know what? Oh, yeah, let's talk about another. Okay, so this kind of
I'm
goes.
going to sit there. You're attacking my neighbor.
Yeah.
You know what? You better look at your back, because there's a 223 coming, maybe 550. But anyway, there's a round coming your way.
Well, yeah. So we talk about morality, right? That you get people in concealed carry will talk about this too. Is you get a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm just going to look out for me and my family and blah, 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 whatever." I disagree. Maybe I don't know. I live by a different code. You call it a warrior code, whatever you want to call it.
It's a code of honor.
Code of honor, which
We
people
live by
don't
a
understand.
code of honor.
Yeah.
People don't even know what that word is.
And here's the thing: there are worse things than dying. Okay, I'll just put that out there. Dying is not, obviously I'd rather not, okay? But yeah, there are worse things.
There are worse things than dying.
And so part of what I view my role is we in the video we talk about why we prep, but there's another video called Why We Prep that we talk about. But part of that too is I train, I do martial arts, I fight, I train with firearms, I'm physically fit to protect myself, but more than that, right? I can still carry a firearm too. More than to protect myself is to protect other people. There are innocent people that need to be protected, and there are defenseless people, and those who are in a position of strength and power, I believe, have a moral duty to look out for other people around them and protect them.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you have that situation where you get the person up the road. I believe I have a moral obligation. And to what degree, that's all debatable, right? I'm just making a general statement, not saying I'm always dedicated to one course of action no matter what, but generally speaking, yes, I'm willing to go out there and protect those people. I've put myself out there before, whether it's during Hurricane Harvey, when you know, people in the boats were getting shot by thugs, right? So I had my plate carrier, my AR-15. I'm not putting up with this crap, right? These people are trying to help people, and they're taking rounds for no reason. Right, I have training and ability. Am I going to put myself at risk? Relatively low risk in that situation, but
you did it.
Yeah, it's, you know what, I'm willing to. And when the riots were happening last year in 2020, we had local people and buddies, and we were getting together, and that was we were ready for that contingency. If this happens, I am absolutely willing to put myself at risk to help other people. A lot of people don't understand that. It's completely alien to them. They see it as foolish. Hey, whatever. Like I said, I view that. I live by a code. I guess it's kind of you don't see it that often.
Right.
But yeah.
So speaking about living by a code, I want to talk a little bit about living together, group dynamics, things like that. So
I got a story about that too.
One thing I think that is coupled with honor is liberty, freedom. And one thing I'm not going to do is submit to some pseudo-communism collective on a ranch just to keep us all safe.
Nope.
I'm not going to ask other people to do that.
Nope.
Another thing I see on the blogs is people, yeah, I'll let them come live with me, but they're going to be my slave.
Nope.
Nope, not going to happen. In fact, if you suggest that, you're off of my group.
In a bullet point, I'm not giving up my guns. Let's say something happens and I'm in that position where I need help. Or you can come in and you got to give up.
That's not
that is a standing rule, general order number, or whatever.
One.
Yeah. We do not disarm ourselves. We don't. Period. End of story. There is no discussion. And I'm not going to ask other people to do it either.
Right.
Okay?
Now, I may invite people in. We talked about this on a different video. I may invite people into the group and require that they work. It's different than being my slave.
Yeah.
Everyone contributes.
We all have roles and responsibilities.
Yeah, I mean, you might be 3 years old. You're going to be out there picking weeds.
Yeah. You're going to do something.
Everyone's got to do something. But that's different than basically enslaving people.
No. And I'm not going to use that, hold it over the heads where, if you don't do what I want, I'll stop feeding you. Again, there's a dynamic to that because you do need to contribute to the society if you want to partake of the fruits of everyone's labor. So there's a dynamic to that, but
so obviously, if somebody's doing something contrary to the welfare and security of the group, that could compromise the group, that needs to be dealt with.
You deal with it. You have a discussion, whatever you're going to do.
But you're talking about a personal. I'm in charge.
I'm in charge, and you will obey me, or I'll stop feeding you. Right? Or even let's get even more twisted. You see this in the books, right? Give me your daughter, or I'm going to stop feeding your family.
Yeah.
No. And if you're in my group and you do that, there's being kicked out might be the least of your worries. That cannot be tolerated.
Right.
That certain things are pure evil. You cannot tolerate that.
That's not who we are.
So let me use that to jump into a little story. I was on this Facebook group a long time ago, and this discussion came up, and the question was, do you go solo or form a group? So I basically made this comment saying, hey, ideally you need to have a group, a community of people. Problem is, it's so hard to find good people. It's very tough. So you're going to have a lot of people that ended up being alone because it's hard to find good people, right? And so another guy commented underneath my comment, responded to mine, basically agreeing. He said, hey, yeah, it's tough, blah, blah, blah. A third guy comments, he ended up proving our point. This is what he said. He said, in that kind of situation, basically we need to I don't think he called it socialism, but basically there can't be any private property. Everyone has to share everything. No one can own anything. And then he went a step further because he's thinking of repopulating society, which that's a whole other discussion. But he even said that basically to do that, no one's spouses are going to be, there's not going to be marriages, that women are going to have children from multiple men. And all that's going to have to be dictated by the community. And there's not going to be any private property and all that kind of stuff.
That's pretty twisted.
And me and this other guy, the first guy that responded, we're both thinking the same thing. I said, no. In this kind of situation that we're talking about, SHGF, personal liberty is more important than anything. Personal liberty is more important than at any time before. Yes, you want a community that pulls together where people put the community above their own individual needs. That's what you want, right? But it needs to be voluntary. People want to put the community first. You need people that want to put the community first. It has to be voluntary. Private property, individual liberty is more important than ever before, and it has to be intact. And I'm not going to mess with someone's private property or their personal liberty, and I'm not going to tolerate people that do. And so me and that first guy were in sync, the same thought, and that third guy proved my point. You're going to have people like that. It cannot be tolerated. Absolutely not.
Well, yeah, we're going to respect people. We're going to respect human life.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking earlier about when I was in high school. This was way back when. I don't know if they still do this. They used to have what they called values clarification. Values clarification class. And basically there would be some scenario, and many of you may have heard this, but I actually went through this several times in my school career. In this one case, you got a bunch of people on a boat, and they have these different people. One's an old pastor, one's a pregnant woman, one's this brilliant scientist, and they list all these people. Which one, the boat's sinking because there's too many people. One person has to go. Who do you throw overboard? And even when I was young, I'm not throwing anyone overboard. We survive as a group or we sink as a group. But we're not going to sacrifice a member just for everyone else. And obviously, the Socialist People's Republic of New York wanted to have us learn to sacrifice certain individuals, and I would not, even as a young man, a long-haired hippie, whatever, I would not get along. I would not go along with that. And I'm even stronger in that mindset now. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, for the good of the group, you have to suffer.
Nope.
No, that is inhumane. It is contrary to all good order. It's contrary to all righteousness.
It's morally corrupt to do
it's
that kind of
morally
stuff.
corrupt on so many levels.
Well, and who are you to make that decision? To make that moral absolute that decision where you are assigning a value to a person's life. You are not morally capable or have the right to do that.
Or even using social pressure to get a person to agree. No. You're going to pick the weakest member of the society, the one that you consider has the lowest value.
No.
No, if you're once you're accepted as part of the team,
You're part of the group.
You're part of the group.
We survive as a group or we die as a group.
Yeah.
And not to mention, when you have a group like that pulls together, that's close, so we're putting the group ahead of ourselves and right now, all that kind of stuff. And we're individuals in the group know they can rely on the group, and that they're not going to just be cast aside. You're going to have a group that works harder to prevent these kind of situations.
Right.
But no, we all survive together as a team, or we die as a team.
Yeah, what are you going to do? You get in a firefight and one of your group members
Leave
gets hurt,
No.
and now you can't work anymore, throw them out. No, you don't. Once you decide, hey, you're in the group, you honor dictates that you take care of the people that are weak. You take care of each other when they're down.
Man, talk about, so I saw this post recently on one of these forums talking about this, and now again, this person made the decision on their own. I disagree with it, but at least they're the ones making it and someone's not. But all right, so let me get into this. It was an older person. They basically decided, they said that when SHTF happened, and they're thinking like a huge immediate event like an EMP, that they are just too much of a drain on resources in society, that they will just basically hold up and allow themselves to die so that the younger folks have a better chance to live. Okay. First off, my view. So what I told them is I have a different view. My view is that the younger folks, the younger generation, and really in this case, we're not talking young generation, this is elderly, so anyone that's not elderly has a responsibility to take care of them. Right, so these individuals took care of the young children and the next generations when they were children, and then they grew up, and now it's our turn to reciprocate that and to take care of these older generations as they get old and frail and whatnot. I do not agree with the idea of throwing them out. For one, also, let's talk about a practical standpoint. They're still useful. They have wisdom, knowledge, and their bodies that can. So, for example, you should have ham radios, right? Some guy's 85 years old, can't do anything. He can sit at a ham radio and monitor stations. He can share wisdom. He could. You have these older societies, or these more primitive societies, I guess you'd call it, or whatever, where you have the village elders and whatnot. They have experience. They have wisdom. Okay. But also on the moral basis, we're not taking the old people out to the woods, letting them get eaten by wolves. That's evil. Not doing it.
Right.
And who the heck wants to live in that kind of society? Now,
I'm not going.
Yeah. Now, I will mention one thing. There is a difference, at least in this situation. It wasn't that the young people were telling them, hey, you need to die. This person took it upon themselves and said, hey, this is my choice. Okay, hey, like I said, I disagree with it. I don't think it's as morally corrupt as someone hey, you need to die because we don't want to take care of you. Okay, if you make a decision on your own, I still think it's a little selfish because the community still needs you. But okay, personal decision. Okay, that's if you do it, you do it. But I disagree. My whole philosophy is completely different on that. No, you take care of everybody. You take care of the older people. You take care of the young people. And so yeah, I've seen there's comments on that. That's one of those themes that, just like the cannibalism thing, that pops up every once in a while. What do you do with the old people? You don't throw them out. You know. And
part of the reason is you've had 2 generations of the socialist school system teaching values clarification.
Yeah.
That at some point you can throw people overboard.
They don't contribute anymore.
Yeah,
First, that's nonsense.
It is nonsense.
It's total nonsense.
It's immoral.
And even if they didn't, I'm still not getting rid of them.
Right.
Right? And so you could think of just from the angle of just the value of human life, it's not up to me to decide that this person is just not worth living anymore. And I'm not talking about punishments for heinous crimes. That's a different subject, okay? But also, what about all the value that they have added to the community over their decades of life? That means something. Right? So we're not a group that, what can I get out of you right now? And once I've used up your usefulness, I'll throw you away. No, I'm not doing that. We're not doing it. And I'm not putting up with that kind of stuff either. Nope. It's not even debatable. It's not going to happen. We're not doing it.
Well, and that's a good point. It's not that we're not going to do it. It's intolerable.
Yeah, we won't tolerate it.
It will not be tolerated. It will not be permitted. That type of thought, well, you cannot survive in our group if you think like that.
No. And this is why we have these discussions now, because we work through these mental problems. And some of these things you have to think about for weeks, months, maybe years. You're mulling this over in your head.
It's also good to have these conversations with people, scenarios. Hey, what about this? When you're looking for people that might join your group,
you can gauge who they are
before everything happens.
Yep. And as a group,
Yeah,
you figure out what kind of person they are, and then also the group understands the expectations, and you build a group identity. This is who we are. So we're both in Marine Corps, and the Marine Corps has a group identity. We do things a certain way because this is who we are. We don't do certain things because we are not that. That's not who we are, right? You build that pride and that esprit de corps and that community. We don't do those things. And it becomes self-policing, right? And people say, listen, we're just not putting up with that. We don't do that. But yeah, you lay out those expectations early to where when those things happen, people know that it's not acceptable. But also, we can wrestle with these moral conundrums, which to me, it's not much of a wrestle. It's actually pretty simple.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward to me.
But you do it now in the comfort of our air-conditioned, super duper top secret bunker. Now, versus when you have social pressure and life and death hangs in the balance and you don't have enough food for everybody and you're not sure what to do, that's not the place to be thinking about these things.
It's an easy time for the mind to compromise if you don't have those boundaries.
Or maybe you just, instead of making a decision, you just choose not to intervene, right? You know so-and-so is going to kill off one of the old folks, and you're not going to do it, but you're not going to really stop them from doing it either. It's the same thing.
So you mentioned there's certain things we will not do, but there's also things we absolutely will do, and it's the flip side of that coin, like intervening. That's not happening.
There is no, we're not putting up with that.
Oh my gosh, how many times have I gotten in trouble for intervening when no one else looked? Over the years. Hey, there's times that I will step forward. And I may be the only one to step forward. It's happened more than a few times. Well, I'll step forward and no one else does. And I'll take the heat, whatever.
And people talk about risking yourself, right? So talking about some people say, I won't risk my life for other people. Hey, yeah, in these kind of situations, interjecting yourself, you might put yourself and your family at risk. I'm willing to do that.
Yeah.
That's a moral risk I'm willing to take. And like I said, there are things worse than death. And I think dishonoring yourself by allowing atrocities like that to happen is worse than death.
Right.
And so when you build that community, and that becomes part of your cultural value system. And there's examples of that all throughout human history.
And here's the thing, though, is I have found out that a lot of times when you stand up and you take, usually, when you stand up and you start taking the heat and you stand firm, that gives people strength. And sometimes you're standing alone. Sometimes you have other people that want to stand up, but we all know that the average person is not going to be the first to stand up.
Yeah.
Right? That's just normal. That's not a judgment. That's human nature. I happen to know throughout my own life that I have been more than willing to be the first and only to stand up. So I stand up. Sometimes other people are like, yeah, I'm with Gil. I'm with Gil. And they're waiting for somebody like us.
Yeah.
A strategically minded, moral prepper to say, that's wrong. No, we're doing this. That's right. We're doing this. And,
some people just need to see that it's possible.
Yeah.
They just don't, and then they see it. Oh, I can do that, and they say, I don't agree with that either, or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of those. That's just. It's not even a hard question, really.
No, there's nothing to really debate there.
Yeah, it's not happening. So, What else?
2 men enter, 1 man leave. Yeah, but that old person might be the one coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just don't need people like that.
Yeah. You're not going to be part of the
I
group.
mean, you talked a couple minutes ago about the bond and building that team. But if you're willing to put this guy out, I no longer can trust you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that means
Because I may be that person
Yeah.
at some point. I cannot trust
you're
you.
only willing to be part of this group when you think you can get something out of it.
What happens? I get shot, now you're going to throw my wife out?
Yeah, no.
No.
See, that's the other thing too. You talk about these dynamic situations, and this is a common thing you see with combat vets, right? Where that have a good community, and a lot of them were not. One of the factors of them being willing to die was them knowing that their family would be taken care of, right? So that's part of it too. You have this group, and you know you've got a solid group, so you know if something happens, your group will make sure that your family survives no matter what.
Right.
They're not going to say, "Oh, well, for let's say I'm dead and they throw out my wife and kids because Gil's gone and basically the family's outlived their usefulness. Times get tough and so they throw them out."
Yeah, family was here because of Gil.
Yeah, no, I'm
Gil's not
sorry.
here,
That's
too
not my
bad.
family. I'm not risking my family for his family.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to be part of a group like that.
Yeah, you don't need to be
No.
around us.
Yeah, no. So when you know that's not going to happen and you know they have your back no matter what, yeah, it's easier to put yourself on the line because you know your family's taken care of. So the whole group dynamic is going to work much better that way.
Absolutely. I mean, it's important. It's essential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Give us some comments. We want to know what you guys think.
If you got any moral dilemmas or questions you want to ask, we'll make a video on that too and share our thoughts and spark a discussion.
And if there's enough interest down the road, we may have one of them open forum calls.
Live stream?
We may have a live stream on that if we have enough interest at some point in the future, after we get done with our moves and all that other stuff. Because this is the preeminent question for us. Not how much food do I store, but what kind of person will I be in these emergencies? And that really, that's unfortunately, we're not seeing the best answers out of people.
And that's the thing, the character of a person is that most important
Right.
part, right? Because the food, the water, the gear, that's situations change, right? So I may or may not have the equipment that I want, but the character of a person, that's always with them, and that's going to dictate their ability to deal with these situations, how much you can trust them. So that's my main gauge right there is their character.
So, give us some comments. We're looking forward to hearing from you guys, and we appreciate you joining us here for this series. And anything else?
Stay safe and stay prepared.
Yes.